the New York Gun Guys. We're here.
Yes,
we're here.
We are.
Check us out, Facebook, Instagram. Taylor's been posting on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been trying to keep up.
You don't have to tell people that we've been on a hiatus every week.
I feel like we have to because we haven't been on mic in a while, man.
So?
Well, got to keep them informed.
If I was going on and I read that, I'd be like, what's the point of following these guys? They're never around.
Well, I just want to make sure that they at least see some content.
Well, yeah, but
if they go if we go radio silent, and
well, no, I'm just saying like you could post stuff, but you don't have to like apologize for being busy every day. Like, who cares? Just post the shit.
Oh. I feel like
some
people
who listen will understand that you have a child. I work in a very busy area,
and you know what? Our schedules are completely opposite.
And you know what?
Actually, like 12 hours apart.
And you know what? And if they don't listen, they don't understand, then screw them.
Yeah, well,
screw them.
I agree.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for commenting and liking.
Yeah,
all the posts.
we've had some people send some pictures our way from the range, and people commenting that they went out shooting, or they did this, or they got this, and
it's a lot of fun to see.
Oh yeah.
So we do appreciate that. So keep liking the post. Keep showing us you're out there. It actually reminds us that hey, people actually give a shit what we have to say. So
I know, right?
Back. Yeah,
it's nice. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, it is. You can check out some other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you can find a podcast at this point. Pretty sure we're there.
Yeah. They pick up our feed.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's been busy, man.
I know. And you know what's funny? Like, every time I text John, or he texts me, it's like, oh, man, I got this, or I got work. And then, I get off work, and he's getting ready for work. Or on the weekends, he's got, family stuff going on. I got family stuff going on. And then So, not that this isn't a priority, but, other things, unfortunately, have to come first.
Yeah, man. The summer's busy.
Oh, it is. It is.
Busy. I got to assume for both of our industries.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I also used to work different hours. Now my schedule changed, so I go into work earlier than normal. So I used to come in the morning before I go to work, like today.
Like noon, though.
I used to go into work around noon.
Yeah.
And so that left me plenty of time in the morning to get out here. But I go into work earlier now, so my schedule changed, and John's schedule still remained the same. So our schedules kind of overlap a little bit.
It's gonna be tough too because I'd be getting home at like 9:15.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be able to.
Yep.
It's really gonna have to be on one of your days off,
which is the weekend. So but
which the weekend is like the busiest time for me.
I know, because we got to get everything done.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like as far as work is concerned, because that's when the people come out to play. So.
Oh boy. But we while we were off mic for a little while, we did some pretty eventful things. Earlier in the month, we went to Machine Gun Shoot, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so John came with this time. This would be my technically third Machine Gun Shoot that I've been to, and I had a great time as usual. Very awesome, very fun. John, how did you enjoy it?
It was pretty cool, man. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd enjoy it that much, but it was a lot of fun. It was very hot.
Yeah, it was very hot.
I spent way too much money. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go again. I would go again, but I don't know if I would really do much.
Well, that was kind of like me this time. Like, there was a few things I wanted to definitely shoot, but I didn't blow a lot of cash like I did the first couple of times.
Yeah.
So we went to Monroeton, Pennsylvania, to the Shooter's Gauntlet Machine Gun Shoot. It was June 5th. We went Saturday, and me, John, and some buddies went, and it was my second time there. It was a lot of fun. A lot of cool guns. Just being around that much, heavy fucking machine guns.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Taylor had a chub.
Oh yeah, the whole time, bro.
As soon as he walked in, he was just like it was.
As soon as we parked, we heard the roar of the miniguns, and my fucking rod just started.
Ugh, so gross.
Yeah,
but no, it's I don't even know how to describe it.
It's basically a firing line of about 60 pop-up tents.
It sounds like the sound of it sounds like hail.
Yeah,
from
it does.
A distance, what hail sounds like.
Yeah.
I don't even just heavy rains.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It just sounds like constant full auto firing with it's just nonstop.
Yeah, because like one gunshot is like a pop, but fully automatic, it's more like a droning noise, kind of.
Yeah.
Like a loud droning noise.
It was cool.
It was. John, what guns did you get to shoot? What guns did you pick out?
Yeah, what did I end up shooting? A full auto Glock. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, with the shoulder stock.
Super controllable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had the
Because
shoulder
they
stock
were
on it,
very,
thankfully.
Yeah. Well, they were very concerned about controllability, I guess, because they were like, they wouldn't let us do like a 30-round mag in it, which I thought was kind of strange.
Well, they might have had. I mean, obviously it's their gun, but they might have had some instances of somebody not being able to control it, or
It's possible.
I get
It's
it.
possible.
I get it to some degree. The Glock is a little wily if you're not prepared for it.
I guess. I felt like it was pretty controllable.
Yeah, with the shoulder stock, it is
Yeah,
definitely.
But like compared to, I mean, it's only 9mm, but compared to the other guns I shot, like super controllable.
It's just got a really high rate of fire, and some people are really unprepared for it. I think a full auto Glock shoots around 1,000 to 1,200 rounds a minute.
That's awesome.
It was. So you did 3 10-round mags out of that.
I did 2.
Oh, you did 2? I thought you did 3.
I did 2. It was cool.
Oh.
I did the Thompson machine gun
with the drum mag.
With the drum mag.
Yeah,
that was really cool. and that was like one of my bucket list guns.
Yeah.
It's probably like my only real bucket list gun until I got there and I was like, oh no, there's other shit.
There's other shit.
What else? I ended up shooting an MP40,
right,
which was not working properly.
Yeah, it was definitely an old gun. It looked like the recoil spring in it probably was very weak. So halfway through, the gun just kind of kept jamming up. So they actually gave you a choice of another gun.
They did, which was very nice of them.
Yeah.
I think with the M14.
Yes, the full auto M14,
which that one definitely had some power behind
oh
it. That
my
was
God.
really cool.
Full auto 308, man.
Yeah, and then I shot a AK
Yes.
with the M249 belt fed.
Yeah, 50 rounds of M249.
I think that was it though.
Yeah, that was it for you.
Yeah,
Man.
pretty sure that was it. That's what I shot. It was a lot of fun. It was cool.
Did you like the AK?
The AK definitely was cool.
Yeah.
I will say I had some bruising from it though because it
Yeah.
didn't have a wooden stock. I shot one with like a steel wire folding stock.
Yeah,
You definitely feel it. But
I love the
no, it was
AKs.
cool. It was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I shot. I posted up some videos to the Facebook page. I wound up shooting like John, I shot the 50-round belt out of the 249 saw, which was fucking cool. The guy, it was funny because John was like, John went before me, and he's like, can I shoot this like standing up? Yeah.
They had the gun on the bench,
on a
right?
table,
Obviously, but it's like set up to shoot. So I said to the guy like he loads it all up. And I'm like, hey, man, like, can I lift it up off the table or do I have to leave it down? He was just like, I don't give a fuck what you do. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like, you can see me in the video.
Yeah.
Just I'm like, cool. Like, so I just pick it up, and all you hear in the video is Taylor go, oh, hell yeah. It was really
you
cool.
shoulder fire a belt-fed 249. I mean,
I think I would go next time and fire it from the hip, though.
just spray the car.
They would not care.
No, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, what's cool? What's cool about, because you mentioned the car, like downrange, it's like a little creek, and then
like a little
downrange,
pond.
it's like fucking they like set up cars and all sorts of targets. But like obviously you're not like really trying to hit anything accurately. It's just for the experience of shooting, and like the cars were like engulfed in flames and burning. I was like, oh my god, like what the fuck is going on?
It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, so I also shot the 249, like I said, and I picked it up and shoulder fired it, and I put a video up on the Facebook page so you can see it. And at the end of the video, I just have like this Joker from Batman smile on my fucking face. I shot the 249. I shot a full auto HKG3 308. I shot a M2 carbine, World War II 30 carbine, M2 carbine, which is pretty cool. It felt like It felt like a 9mm with a little more kick, in all honesty. And then I shot. Oh man, what else did I shoot? It was a while ago.
The anti-tank gun.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to, but I think I shot a gun in between that. I can't remember, but it'll come to me. You know what? Let me scroll through my phone as I'm talking here real quick, and I'll tell you. But the one gun that I really wanted to shoot was the Finnish Lottie L39 20mm anti-tank cannon, which was. It was badass, man. I mean, I gotta say, it was fucking cool. I really wanted to shoot that last time, and the problem is it's like $100 a shot.
Yeah.
Which, that's a lot of money just, for one bang, basically. But it's a dream gun of mine. It's a bucket list gun, and I did it, and it was fucking cool. And I don't know if I'd do it again, just because of the cost of it, but definitely bucket list gun experience. And I shot it at a car.
If you've been on the Facebook page, a lot of you must have seen it. It reached 4,356 people.
Right, because I shared it to a page that I belong to, a Curio and Relics collecting page.
Yeah.
Because technically it is a CNR gun.
Right.
It's from World War II. So I shared that. Which, they're out there. There was actually 2 at the event. One guy had one privately there, and then the other one was available to shoot. They're out there. I think the Finns only made like 20,000 of them, though. So there's a good bit of them in the U.S., and people actually do shoot them.
Yeah.
And you can reload them, too.
Well, yeah, the guy was saying that he reloads those.
Yeah, the case was about... I asked him, can I keep the case, the spent case? He's like, it's $40. And I'm like, well, I get it. You reload it, so that's no problem.
Yeah.
But
I get it, man. It probably cost them $40 to actually get a brand new one milled, because they get a milled out or whatever it is.
Well, that one looked like it was CNC. That case looked like it was like CNC made, because the original ones are probably getting worn out, so they make new ones. They have to like machine them out. But yeah, so that gun was really fucking cool. And I mean, the concussion from that fucking gun was just insane.
Right.
It was insane.
The video does it no justice as far as like the obviously it doesn't translate the concussion wave.
Right.
But even the sound of it, like it doesn't come through on
I was behind the gun, so I was shooting it, but I don't think I get the full experience that other people got.
No, it was great. It felt like somebody punched me in the chest. It was awesome. I would never shoot it. $100 is way too much, dude.
But for me, it was like I got to load it too. So I mean, I knew how to load it.
Sure.
And because I've seen plenty of videos on it, and the video from Ian McCullum and Forgotten Weapons on the L39, he goes over everything, how to load it, where to put your hands, et cetera, et cetera.
So they don't get cut off.
Well, yeah. So what happens is where the trigger is, where the pistol grip is, there's a metal plate in front of it. And what happens is if you put your hands in front of it, the brass comes out and hits that.
Probably.
And so, it'll fucking take your finger off.
Didn't
probably.
the fucking the brass popped out, hit you right in the balls?
Hit me in the balls.
That's awesome.
Because it was up on a tripod. So
this fucking guy gets hit in the nuts.
Yeah,
pays $100 to get hit in the nuts, basically.
Hey man, some people pay that.
But a lot of people pay more than that.
Yeah,
to get their nuts
beat.
Nuts.
But yeah, it was definitely an enjoyable event. I don't think I shot any other firearms. I just think it was a few, because honestly, like I've shot a lot of the machine guns that I've already wanted to shoot previously, and then money was a little tight after, especially shooting after shooting that finish L39.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, I love shooting AKs. I love that, but I didn't really want to spend the extra money, and then we drove back, had some lunch.
It was like 6 hours there, 6 hours back.
Yeah, well, God, on the way back, my GPS for some reason was set to avoid highways.
I gotta tell this story.
Yeah,
this is a classic Taylor fucked it all up story.
It was my phone that fucked up.
Taylor, hold on. So Taylor, there's a little backstory. Taylor went to Mexico and like a true idiot, jumps in the fucking pool with his phone in his pocket. And is like in there for like 10 minutes. Then he gets out and he's like, oh no, my phone was in my pocket. So instead of being like normal, bringing it to like a real Apple store or whatever.
Where the fuck is there an Apple store in fucking Playa del Carmen, Mexico?
If you let me finish my sentence.
Motherfucker.
Okay, I said like in the U.S. Oh. He brings it to like a knockoff, like counterfeit Apple parts store.
No, it was just a cell phone repair place.
Yeah, okay.
It was just like you have up here. It was a normal cell phone repair store.
And which nobody goes to because it's fucking counterfeit.
Everyone
parts.
was there, bro. It was busy. They do a lot of business there.
Okay, so that's
on the Google reviews that I looked up, a lot of Americans. That's the only reason I went there. Americans were like, got my phone wet, phone got cracked, whatever, took it there and got it fixed.
Well, I hope you left a review.
I didn't.
A negative one.
No,
you should.
No.
So, whatever. He gets it all fixed. He brings it back here, and he's telling me, like, oh, I got it fixed with, like, in Mexico. I was like, wow, using, like, counterfeit Mexican parts. And he's like, it works great. Like, everything works great except for the sleep button and the home button. I'm like, the two most fucking
the home button
things.
And the flash don't work.
Right. So, he's like, no, it's fine. So now we're, like, on our way to, or we get there to the Shooter's Gauntlet. And it's like super hot. He's got his phone out taking pictures, videos, and he's like, oh no, my phone's fucking up. and it's like glitching out.
It's bugging out.
It's like opening and closing apps everywhere.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's because you got it fixed with counterfeit phone parts. And he's like, no, that's not the reason. I'm like, that's 100%.
Nah, it just does that sometimes.
No.
I'm lucky I still have a fucking phone right now.
Anyway, so I'm like, it's because it's in the heat, dude. Like, it's directly in the sun. You got these counterfeit parts, and it's just like put in your pocket. He's like, I'm trying to close the app. I'm like, so eventually, whatever, it starts to work again.
Right.
We do the Shooter's Gauntlet, great time. Now we go back to our buddy's house where we had to drop him off
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it's like we're like going through all these fucking back roads.
We're in the middle of nowhere with no cell reception,
Right.
driving through these country farm roads.
Yeah, like some weird shit.
And I'm like I don't remember taking this way here.
You never know if you're gonna take the wrong turn, end up on someone's driveway, and they're gonna come
Right.
up to you with like shotguns. I mean, like, what are you doing here, boy?
Middle of
So
nowhere.
yeah, so we're like, and we knew that there was a car accident on one of the main roads or a couple of them, so we kind of figured, oh, maybe we're just getting rerouted, whatever.
Right.
So it's like 3 hours back to their house.
Nah, I'd say it was at least an hour and a half.
It was over 2 hours, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 hours.
We'll go with 2 hours just to make you
Yeah.
feel better. So it was
John
about
Denver was playing in my head as we were driving.
and it was great. So we get there, we say goodbye to them, we drop them off, and then Taylor like goes to like queue us up to go home back to Long Island, and it was like 4 hours. And I was like, nah, dude. I was like, not a chance, no shot. So I opened my phone and I Google it, I put it into Maps, and it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, your phone is fucked. What's wrong with your phone? So he's like, I don't understand. At some point during the glitching of his phone, his like, what do you use, Waze or
I used Google Maps.
Google Maps opened up,
and I
got into the settings and switched the fucking setting to avoid highways. So this, oh my God, we were driving through the country back roads of Pennsylvania, avoiding highways because he had to bring his phone to get counterfeit parts.
Listen, I'm lucky I still have a phone, man, and
will you go get a new fucking phone?
I was planning on it, and then I might need to wait a little bit. I'm gonna try and make this one last. It's an inconvenience.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I know.
You need psych help.
Well,
yep.
No, I am perfectly fine. I just want to try and make this last. In Mexico, it cost me like $285 to get the phone repaired.
Cool.
He said
it's not repaired. It's not fucking repaired.
It's working.
Don't you dare say that the phone is fucking repaired. Don't you dare say
it's working.
Yeah. To get the phone barely functional, it cost you $250.
He saved everything on my phone, all my pictures, all my videos. That's really what I wanted most. I have a lot of pictures of my son and videos of my son.
So be normal and put that shit on your computer.
I do. I back it up.
God damn.
But not often.
Well, do it often.
I know. It's a
but
problem.
But don't you dare sit here and tell me that your phone is fixed.
It's mostly fixed.
It's like it's 70% working.
Yeah, I don't have a flash, and the power button doesn't work.
And the home button doesn't work.
Well, my phone doesn't have a home button. It has that.
Oh, so your screen doesn't work either.
No, my screen works. It's just I have that like accessible dot on my phone. So if I want to like lock the screen, I have to go into like a menu or two.
Oh, because you don't have that little. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So like I have the accessible dot. So I go device and then lock screen. I could restart it. I could take a screenshot.
Yeah. Right.
But it's just.
Yeah. Well, that acts like the old home button.
Right. Pretty much.
I got you.
Yeah, it's an accessibility feature.
So we recommend going to the Shooter's Gauntlet. Check them out on their website, whatever their website is.
Twice a year.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll go next time.
They also have a range. They also have a couple of lanes where you can bring your own guns to shoot. A couple of guys brought their own machine guns, like in the public lane there.
Right.
And, open carry, you could bring your own gun to shoot. I was thinking of bringing a gun just to kind of be like ironic, like bring like a bolt action or a Mosin or something, but I didn't. I didn't want to deal with it.
It was too hot there to deal with.
It was, and I didn't want to have to clean my guns after. Which, I mean, I clean my guns. It's just another thing to do.
Taylor,
yes,
tell me about S13A.
S13A.
Senate bill.
All right, we're getting into some laws now.
Titled Scott J. Beagle, the Unfinished Firearms Act. This is going to be Senate Bill S13A. Did we talk about this?
We did.
This is an update.
Yeah, this is an updated one. So it was the Assembly.
Quick update.
Yeah, it was the Assembly Bill A2666, and it was the Senate Bill S7762.
And now it's S13A.
Right, because it passed the Senate and the Assembly. So it's got one more step, and then it gets signed by the governor.
Oh, boy.
This is the one that basically it makes... well, I'm going to read the summary quick. It relates to unfinished frames or receivers, establishes the crimes of criminal sale of an unfinished frame or receiver in the first and second degrees at Class D and E felony. We spoke about this, and it basically, reading the general idea of the bill here, it said it would prohibit the possession of unfinished frames and receivers by persons other than those required to be a licensed gunsmith. It would also create crimes of criminal sale of an unfinished frame or receiver in the first and second degree. So basically, a piece of metal that could be made into a firearm, if you own that, would be a felony.
So what's the step this is waiting on now? Signature from the governor?
It's one more step. It doesn't say here. Let me turn my phone here and show you. So it passed the Senate and the Assembly. It's got one more step, and then the governor. I don't know what
are the odds of this getting passed?
Oh, very, very much so.
100%?
Yeah, if it passed the Senate and the Assembly, definitely.
It's not good, man.
No, it is not good. Now, my problem with this is they're regulating something that's not technically a firearm. They're regulating a piece of metal. They're regulating an idea. They're regulating something that is constitutionally...
It's going to get overturned.
Listen, man.
The New York State Supreme Court, 100%.
No way.
Yeah,
100%. I don't believe so. I think
they just recently overturned. They recently overturned that City Council, New York City Council bill for the diaphragm law that was passed right after George Floyd.
I don't know what that is. You want to elaborate?
Yeah. So basically, right after the whole thing happened with George Floyd, with the knee and whatever your beliefs are, they are.
Right.
We're not going to get into that, but this New York City Council looked at that and said, you know what, we need a bill, or we need a law saying that if the police officers even accidentally touch the neck, back, diaphragm with their arms, with their knees, whatever it is, that they need to be charged criminally. So they passed it like really quickly. Obviously, they passed it really
with no
quick.
regard to thought and common sense.
And it was super vague, right? So it was pretty much like any contact with the neck, diaphragm, back of any person charged with a crime. Doesn't matter if it was accidental. Doesn't matter if the person's resisting. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. If it happens, if your elbow just touches them, that's it. You can technically be charged with a crime. So that's obviously a big problem because when people resist, you can't. Who knows what happens?
Right.
You know, I'm not saying like if you're standing on someone's back, like you're not an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like if you
common sense.
Right. Correct. So
interaction between two
people. This gets passed. Everything happens. You know. And it just went to actually all the ADAs in the city, or the big DAs all agreed that they weren't going to prosecute any police officers for this. But
that's good.
But you can't really trust them either, right?
Public pressure,
because it's still written into law. So just recently, New York State Supreme Court it's
Oh, that's good.
They overturned it, and they said that it was unconstitutionally vague the way it was written, and now it's no longer in existence.
Well,
so don't put it past the New York State Supreme Court to overturn things that are unconstitutional.
Let me say this. When it comes to gun laws, I don't think they've overturned anything.
Okay.
But
this could be the first one.
It could be.
So
I'll give you that.
All I'm saying is don't write it off immediately, because think about what's going on in the world right now with all the police shit and George Floyd. I mean, that's like the most pressure that anyone can feel.
Right.
Is basically them pushing this shit, and you have the Supreme Court
But
doing
I think
exactly
in the gun
what it's
world,
meant to do.
I think in the gun world, though, unfinished frames or receivers are even seen by most people as unnecessary, or why do we need that? They're kind of viewed as like a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. But the problem,
but at the end of the day, it comes down to constitutional rights. It doesn't come down to what you think is unnecessary.
Right.
At the end of the day, is it a firearm? Yes or no? So why is it being regulated in such a way? And I think that's going to be there'll be lawsuits. You know,
I hope there will be.
I think
there will be.
I'm hoping that it would get overturned.
Although my issue, which I've spoken about with this law previously, is the name, the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act. Yeah. He was a teacher in the Parkland shooting at Parkland High School who died in the Parkland shooting that was killed by an insane person. He was from Long Island. His mother and father are very big Democratic anti-gun activists.
Mm-hmm.
He was shot with a firearm that was technically legally purchased and wasn't unfinished frame or receiver. So them putting his name on it is nothing more than just pandering. It's nothing more than just tug at your heartstrings.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's nothing more than maybe his parents donating some money to some politicians allegedly to get recognition to further their own cause.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck knows? I'm not saying one thing or another.
Yeah.
But the naming of these bills make no fucking sense.
But they never have.
No, I know, but that's what I'm getting at. They're using a tragedy to push their own agenda, which has nothing to do with each other.
Of course.
You know? So that's a big problem.
Well, I mean, they do that all the time. What about, what was it, HR 1 for the People Act?
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's got nothing to do with that.
Right.
It's like, it would totally fuck the whole country over, federalizing elections.
Right.
So this doesn't surprise me. This is just Democrats doing Democrat shit.
Right. I feel like that should be on a shirt. It's just Democrats doing Democrat shit. We said it first.
Yeah,
we said it first.
Timestamp it.
Yeah,
It's ours.
timestamp that.
But
that's
yeah,
great.
so
this
Democrats doing Democrat shit.
That's great. I want that on a bumper sticker. But like, I don't want it to sound like I'm supporting Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, I just want it like kind of like in a, you know. Yeah, we gotta
think about that.
We gotta work on that.
Oh
one.
man, that's great.
So yeah, this law is probably going to be signed, and basically, it just. Oh, and then we talked about being a licensed gunsmith. So you can only possess these if you're a licensed gunsmith, but you know,
Yeah.
you can't become a licensed gunsmith unless you meet certain criteria and
Right.
apply and whatever. So that's that one. It's probably going to be signed into law.
Right. And then we have S14A, the Jose Webster Untraceable Firearms Act.
Right. So we spoke about this when it first hit. This also passed the Senate and the Assembly. And basically, I'm just scrolling down here. It criminalizes the sale of ghost guns and requires gunsmiths to register and serialize firearms, rifles, shotguns, and unfinished frames or receivers they assemble. So it's kind of similar to the other law, except that if this, like, let's just say somebody completes a, quote, ghost gun. Let's just say somebody manufactures a gun at home and then sells it. So the other law specifically referred to unfinished frames or receivers. This law specifically says unserialized firearms. So, but this one now requires a gunsmith to register and serialize firearms, rifles, and shotguns, and unfinished frames or receivers that they assemble. Again, Jose Webster was a kid, from what I remember. He was walking, I think it was in the Bronx or Brooklyn, one of the two.
I'm not sure.
He was walking with his girlfriend, young kid. I think he was like 14 or 15, real tragic. And he was, shot in I think it was a gang kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was shot and killed, unfortunately.
Now, was he like gang affiliated, or was it random and accidental? Like not accidental.
Maybe it was wrong place, wrong time. When we read the article a while ago, I don't know. I don't think
it didn't really say, right?
No, it didn't really say. They just said he was walking late at night with his girlfriend and he was shot.
Crazy, man.
Now, nowhere did it say the gun used was a ghost gun. Nowhere did it say that he was involved in selling ghost guns. So again, they name these laws after tragic events that have nothing to do with what they're trying to push.
Did you happen to, speaking of gun control measures, did you hear what Joe Biden said about gun control recently?
What specifically about the F-15s and the nukes and
yeah, about how he's going to nuke people. He's going to nuke American citizens.
He said, he said that in order to take on the government, you need F-15s and nukes. Well, so that's what he said. He's like, all these people who think they're going to take on the government, you need F-15s and nukes, which implies that the government also will use F-15s and nukes
against you.
Right. And you know what, man? Like,
which, by the way, is the whole fucking point. That's the whole point of having the Second Amendment,
right.
is to not allow Democrats to do Democrat shit, like nuke the shit out of civilians.
Write that fucking down. Democrats doing Democrat shit.
Stop screaming.
Oh, that's fucking great. I love that. I want that on a fucking shirt. Don't let Democrats do Democrat shit. That's what you need to write down. Don't let Democrats do Democrat shit. That's the name of this episode, and I feel like that should be the new name of our podcast if we ever rebrand. Don't let Democrats do Democrat shit. Yeah, sorry, we're a little nuts. But no, Joe Biden fails to understand the concept of an armed population fending off governments. An armed population, resisting tyranny.
Yeah.
It happens all over the world throughout history. I mean, I know this might be a little unpopular opinion here, but one of the biggest things that I took away from kind of learning a bit about the Vietnam War or Vietnam conflict, however you decide to do it, is that, an indigenous population, indigenous meaning the people from that land, not any sort of derogatory way. So we're indigenous to America. So, I mean, well, technically I'm not Native American, but you know what I mean. An indigenous population fending off...
Just digging yourself into it.
Whatever.
We all know what you mean.
Yeah. A population of people fending off a bigger, even foreign threat. And you know what? The U.S. lost a lot of fucking people. It was a really senseless war to get into, and we had F-4 fighters, and we had all this, and we had napalm, and we had this, but we didn't win. We really didn't. It wasn't some sort of victory. It wasn't, we were just dumping money, losing men, and fucking up that part of the world.
Right.
Unpopular opinion here, but, I'm not knocking the people that went over there and fought, that got drafted, that had to go over there and fight, and, that's what happened, but it wasn't worth it, in my opinion. And the Vietnamese really fucking fought back. The same with the Taliban in Afghanistan. We're still over there. Yeah. We're fighting people fucking in caves with AK-47s, and yet we're the fucking U.S. military. How are we not, quote, winning?
Right. And here's the whole thing, like, Biden is like, oh, nukes, 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 but we're not over there nuking every single little town. You know what I mean? So, like, sure, if we went over there and we just nuked every square mile of the fucking country, yeah, I'm pretty sure we would win. And we can stand there and be like, yeah, we did it.
I don't think that the nuclear bomb will ever be used again.
Hopefully not.
And you know what? I forget who I was talking about this with recently. I think I was at work because we were talking about this.
It's too much work afterward to deal with it. Like, when we nuked Japan, like, we had to go over there and, like, rebuild.
Well, we also did that after completely destroying the South. Well,
that's when
the Civil War.
Well, exactly, yeah.
We showed the world what will happen with a nuclear bomb. And that wasn't even like the nuclear bombs like we had today. That was the atomic bomb. That was like a hydrogen bomb.
Right.
So that wasn't even like the nuclear bombs we have today, which are fucking 50 times more powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like we won't, I was talking to him about my father. I was talking with this about to my father. I said the nuclear age brought about the possible destruction of the world, but it also brought about nuclear peace, meaning countries understand that we have the power to destroy the world, so let's not, like, get involved in some shit. You know what I mean? Back before the nuclear age, man, we had World War II, World War I, all these fucking conflicts. Countries would go to war with one another all the fucking time.
Right.
Now we just have these small-scale conflicts that really aren't technically wars.
They're like proxy conflicts.
Right. We're fighting
conflicts and
we're fighting ununiformed combatants. We're fighting ISIS. They're not a nation. They're an idea. We're fighting
what do they call it? Unconventional warfare.
Yeah, unconventional warfare,
which has
basically
become conventional warfare.
It has. It has to some degree.
But it's not like you're fighting people in uniforms. Like, you don't know who the civilians are versus,
and a lot of that started in Vietnam.
Right.
Very unconventional
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't mean to belittle any sort of conflict or war, but realistically, an armed populace, especially the one the size of the U.S. with 300-something million people and just that same amount of firearms. I mean, okay, if you think about let's just say usable firearms out of that 300-something million, maybe if you take 3/4 of that as actual fighting, firearms, not like muskets or, black powder or whatever. I mean, still, that's a sizable thing.
Yeah.
And then you have to think about, will the people in the government be willing to shoot at American people?
Yeah. Will the American military be willing to walk down the street and shoot American citizens? I doubt it.
I know.
I doubt it.
Some people probably will, and most won't. I would hope. That's just my opinion. So
there's always going to be some group of people that will do some weird, dumb shit like that. But
and you know what? There has to be a reason. Like, there has to be a reason. Just because we own a lot of guns isn't a reason.
Yeah.
Just because, and I talk about this with people all the time, but the January 6th, quote, Capitol insurrection, quote unquote, riot.
Yeah, that there has never been a greater attack to democracy ever in our history. Yeah, like, Pearl Harbor wasn't an attack on a democracy, or 9/11 couldn't have possibly been as bad as a few thousand people walking into the Capitol building for an hour.
Also, the Capitol building was attacked beforehand. It was bombed in the 80s. There was people who broken in and done
There was
things.
another thing I did one of those like quick shots about it, where this is not the first time that people have entered the Capitol building and protest. Like, this is not the first time.
And, I talked to people about it. Well, actually, I was talking to my father about it not too long ago. And, I said that they had a problem with the government, and they went and
took it to the government.
They weren't armed. They,
I'm sure
we're angry.
I'm sure he's very...
it's funny.
I'm sure he has his opinions.
He does. And I'm not going to... I'm not going to bring a lot of that up, but we talk about it from time to time, and I just try to get him to see the other side of it. I feel like with all this COVID pandemic, that he's older, he was housebound, and, I feel like he kind of bought into a lot of the the CNN propaganda type stuff.
Yeah.
And, with all this stuff coming out about Fauci's emails saying at first, only sick people need to wear a mask. And, all this stuff going on with the Wuhan lab, thinking that there might have been a leak, all this early on.
Fucking giving money to the people who donated the money to.
So there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, and I try to get people, especially my own family, I'm not one of these people that push it on you, but when I talk about it, I say, well, what about this? Have you thought about this? Why is this? Think about the underlying reasons of things. Don't just take things at face value. So the same thing with history, the same thing with politics, the same thing with these laws. Like, why are they naming these laws after some guy, after a person that was, Scott Beagle, I'm not going to obviously badmouth him. He died protecting children from gunfire. Like, that's a heroic act. And I'm not going to belittle him. I think it's a belittling. I think it's doing him a disservice to put his name on this law.
Yep.
Put his name on a foundation. I think there is a foundation, but put his name on a statue or something. Like, but him putting his name on this law is not honoring his memory because it has nothing to do with one another.
Right.
So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, like everything else, they do things for a certain reason, and it's to tug at your heartstrings, as they say, and
Yes. Now the last bill I wanted to bring up was something I actually just found out about recently.
The S65.
Yeah. So Senate Bill S65.
Now this is interesting.
It's in the Senate Committee of Codes Committee. That's the current status. It was sponsored by Roxanne J. Persaud of the 19th Senate District. Guess what her political affiliation is?
Couldn't possibly be Democrat doing Democrat shit right now.
You are correct. Ding, ding, ding. So Senate Bill S65 restricts the sale of ammunition to only individuals authorized to possess such weapon. Now, so when I first read this, I had a misconception of they're going to know if you want to buy 308 or 5.56 or, if you have a gun that shoots that.
Yeah, Taylor was, when he first read it, he was just like, okay, so if you don't have a gun that shoots 9mm, you're not allowed to buy that ammo.
Right.
But that's not really how it reads. It reads that if you're not authorized to own that gun, so if you're a prohibited possessor, essentially, you're not allowed to buy any ammunition because you're not allowed to own any firearm.
Right. So this is what they're trying to do, which is similar to what they were trying to do in the SAFE Act, but ultimately didn't get funded. So the summary of this bill, it restricts the sale of ammunition to only individuals authorized to possess such weapons and creates the, quote, no gun database under the Division of Criminal Justice Services. So basically what this does is it wants to create remember how in the SAFE Act they wanted to create a background check? They wanted to piggyback off the FFL 4473 background check to buy ammunition, and the government was like, no.
Right.
And then it never got funded. The federal government said no. And then it never got funded. Right. So what they're trying to do now is create it within the State Department of
but it's not
criminal justice.
But it's
services.
Not really a NICS check. It's more of like, are you a prohibited? It's like the same thing, but it's not.
Right. So what they want to do is load all the known prohibited possessors of firearms into a database, and then every time you go to buy ammo, you have to get your name run in this, and then if you're a prohibited possessor, you're not allowed to buy it.
Right.
Now,
I will say it's very interesting how they get creative with certain things.
Right.
Like now that we've been reading a lot of these bills, they really do get creative, especially with like the with the Unfinished Firearms Act, like turning everybody into a gunsmith, and then you're not licensed, so you can't do it. They're very, very creative, and it's like you can tell that they really sat down there like, how can we fuck everybody?
Right.
And what's the most like roundabout way where we're not really taking people's rights, but like at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. It's incredible how like these are really. I mean, we say all the time that they're idiots, but they're really fucking smart when it comes down to doing shit like this.
They're idiots in our opinion, but they're very cunning and they're very deceptive. Right. This bill, John and I were talking about it before we went on mic, and John was saying that it won't affect us, it won't affect prohibited, it won't affect law-abiding citizens, and I'm like, no, it won't right now. But I feel like
okay.
Because in the law it says if you've ever had your firearm seized. Or
do I think that it's a necessary law? No. But do I think that it's going to ever affect, like, me? No, I don't. I mean, and you know what? If I'm a prohibited possessor, then I'm never going to have a need for ammunition anyway.
Right. So it says in the justification for the bill, I'm just going to read this. It says the bill aims to prevent ammunition sales to persons not authorized to possess certain weapons. Regulating ammunition is often overlooked as an aspect of gun safety policy. See, they use gun safety policy, the word gun safety.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Guns without bullets are nothing more than blunt instruments. That's what they say in here.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's very true, so I don't know why.
Currently, New York state law prohibits selling handgun ammunition to persons without pistol permits. However, the law does not prohibit the purchase of rifle or shotgun rounds by, quote, unauthorized persons. In New York City, despite requiring permits for shotgun and rifle ownership, those without the permits can purchase shotgun and rifle ammo, uninhibited. This bill would be similar to the restrictions placed on handgun ammunition purchases in that if you are authorized to own the weapon, you may purchase its corresponding ammunition. Most parts of the state outside of New York City have no restriction on who can purchase shotguns and rifles, so by default, anyone not explicitly prohibited from owning a firearm can purchase the firearm and corresponding ammunition.
Right.
So, my thing is, like, if John were to go to a gun shop and he were to want to buy a box of 9mm, some gun shops say, all right, state law says yada yada, let me see your pistol permit. He shows them the permit.
9mm wouldn't even be a factor in that because...
Well, I've had people tell me, like, they go to Walmart. Walmart's policies, you have to show a pistol permit in order to buy any pistol caliber, regardless of if you're going to use it in a pistol caliber carbine.
Just because
like
you
rifle.
can, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that's Walmart. I've never experienced that anywhere else.
Right, but some gun shops, technically, by the way this bill says, it's already law that in order to possess handgun ammunition, you need to show that you have a handgun permit.
Right.
So, they're trying to basically, this is where I think it's going to go with this. In order to purchase rifle ammunition, do you have rifles? You're not a prohibited possessor, but what do you need rifle ammunition for?
But that's not the way it's written at all.
I know, but this is where I think it can go. And then the next paragraph, it says, the bill would also direct the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services to assemble a master database of all people in the state whom had their firearms seized or their rights to possess a firearm suspended. It doesn't say that who've had who are prohibited possessors. Like, people could have their firearms seized and then returned to them.
Correct.
So
then you would hopefully be taken off that list.
Hopefully.
Correct.
And this was like, remember that
yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
And
that voluntary list that if you want to.
I do remember.
Right.
And the whole thing is they don't want you to have the ammo for the guns that you don't have, basically.
Well, I mean, what businesses of it,
And I agree with you 100%.
Right. And this is what I'm getting
but I
at.
also think on the scale of laws that they could push, this ain't that bad. On the scale of it.
It's not the most outrageous thing.
I'm not saying that means we should let it get passed.
Right.
But I'm just saying on the scale of the bullshit that they want to do, this is kind of low. But yeah, I mean, I think it's unnecessary.
I think it's just a way for them to start regulating who can buy what and getting people's names in a list.
I think
that's just my opinion.
I don't know about you, but for me, like, I don't want prohibited possessors to have firearms.
No,
right?
me neither.
So this is another way to check against that.
But you know what? They say that if a firearm without ammunition is a blunt instrument, then what's ammunition without a firearm?
You said it backwards, but yeah, I know.
Whatever. You know what I mean? So one cannot be without the other. And like I said before, Mike, before we were on the microphone, it reminds me of that Chris Rock bit. If every bullet costs $5,000, you think twice about shooting somebody.
Right.
He's like, fuck gun control. We need bullet control. Right. And that's ultimately what they're doing. Oh, yeah. We can't. They even said it. What's a gun without bullets? A blunt
But at the same time, this is bullet control against prohibited possessors.
Yes,
They just want to rope everything in to, saying, okay, well, you know what? You can't own a firearm, so there's no need for you to have,
Right.
I get it.
But
it's almost like saying, well, you don't have your hands were amputated, so you don't need a fork in your house, so we're going to ban you from having forks. Right. It makes no sense. Because in theory, if you can't own the firearm anyway, then what's the point of having this check against that?
I just think that it could open the door to more government overreach involving the ownership of your firearms.
Sure.
For example, so you're a prohibited possessor, but what about all the people that do own firearms? How do we know if they have a 5.56 or a 7.62 by 39?
Well, I could see them being like, because I'm assuming each one of these checks is going to be tracked.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Every time you buy ammo?
Yeah, so every time you buy like 223, they're going to be like, oh, well, that guy has an AR.
Right.
That's the immediate thing that they're going to think.
Right. So, it's just another way to track, again, what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's just my thing, man.
I mean, it's so... this could lead the way to like a soft registry.
It could be, yeah.
So
because
like,
if they know if you're buying 308, if you're buying 22, if you're
there's
buying
only
760
so
by
many
39,
guns. Yeah,
right.
It's not like 9mm where you can put it in a dozen different guns. It's like there's very specific. If you're buying 223, it's only a few guns you could really put that in. Yeah,
right.
So
again, so that's I think it's just more unnecessary government intrusion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
They're regulating things that honestly shouldn't be regulated. And like you said, we don't want prohibited possessors to have guns or ammunition. But if the law works the way they should, then prohibited possessors shouldn't have guns.
Right.
So them buying ammunition is a moot point. So they're recognizing
this is a redundant law. It's a
Right.
redundant law,
Right.
except for the background shit that they can end up doing with it.
Right.
Soft registries,
Right.
like putting you in categories, saying that you've bought 223 in the past.
Right.
Where's your? Oh, and then you say, oh well, I don't have it anymore. Oh, you don't have that gun anymore.
Right.
Well, where is it? Why didn't you do it? Yeah.
Right. It reminds me of that scene from Inglourious Bastards when Christoph Waltz goes into the farmer's house and he's like, "So you do this, and this, and they're under the floorboards, aren't they?" It reminds me of that.
Yeah. Right.
The soft, nice investigation,
Right.
the one that kind of takes you off, but you just still feel really weary about.
Yeah,
It gives
of
you the
course.
fucking
Yeah.
creeps.
Right.
That's just what I think of it.
Right.
Honestly.
So, lastly, I want to talk about this. I wrote this down before, like when we were talking.
Yeah.
The Jerry's firearm update.
Oh yeah. So last I heard, they were both charged criminally. They were released.
With bail. I'm sure,
with bail.
On bail.
And basically, it relates to the selling of other type firearms.
Yeah.
So this one Delta Level Defense other type firearm, which the company, honestly, Delta Level Defense, they've actually stepped up and they've been really supportive from what I've seen. They said to owners which ultimately you couldn't do. They're like, oh, send us your gun. We'll hold on to it for safe storage, this and this. But then people are saying, like the county's saying that you can't modify, remove from the state because it's technically evidence.
So
in an
basically,
investigation or whatever.
And we posted it, but the Suffolk County Police Department sent a letter essentially saying that you're basically in violation of the SAFE Act and you have to turn this gun in immediately,
right?
Or you're going to be charged with a crime.
Yeah.
Which this is interesting, right? Because we're always talk about how there's no database, there's no registry yet.
Right.
Now these people all are getting letters, so
because they went into the bound books with the ATF,
Correct.
and they know who purchased what.
So at the end of the day, there basically is a registry out there,
right?
Right. That's a whole another can of worms. They're pretty much now proving that if they wanted to, they can find every single firearm in the country, essentially. Anything that was bought by by
an FFL,
right? So especially in this state, because everything's got to go through an FFL now, so.
Right. So, they sent these letters out to people, and people were like, what the fuck do I do? And then certain law firms...
You get a lawyer immediately.
Well, certain law firms were like, contact us, don't do anything, yada, yada. And I'm like, from what I see, they're still in business. They have not shut down.
No, but they had one of their licenses removed, correct?
Well, they had I think it was the state dealer's license removed. So they can't sell handguns or quote-unquote assault weapons. I think they can only do compliant firearms.
Right.
And some people were like, fuck him, he gets what he deserves. Look, we bash the guy a lot.
Sure.
And I've said in the past that he was really one of the only people that were selling guns that maybe were right up to the line.
Gray area.
Yeah, like Chris Vector, Steyr AUGs, stuff like that he said were compliant. He took a risk and he took a chance.
Yeah.
Now, the state, I will give him the credit in saying that the state is so ambiguous with the laws that, what one FFL thinks is okay, the state says no. And it's not even the state, it's the county.
Right.
So the county says it's illegal. Suffolk County says it's illegal.
Yeah.
But the state has not weighed in on it yet.
Correct.
So a county saying it's illegal.
This will be the deciding factor case.
So I think that if he does go to court with this, which, I'm hoping he does, but I don't know what's going to happen. If he goes to court and then they decide that it's unconstitutional, or
I'm gonna tell you right now, my man, if they give him a sweet plea deal,
he'll take it.
Sweet, he's gonna take it, and Suffolk County will use that as the basis that it's not legal.
I think that he had 9 felonies charged against him.
It was something like that.
And I'm like, holy
Crazy
shit.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, it does. And listen, the guy, I don't like his business practices, but when I did interact with him, he was a nice guy.
Yep.
I'm not going to badmouth him personally.
Yep.
I just don't agree with his business practices.
In our last episode, which our Podbean uploads them to YouTube every once in a while.
We had a lot of
I got a lot of hate for saying I would not donate to his cause, and fuck you, I'm still not going to donate to his cause.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that it warrants my money.
Well, we don't know even what
he's gotten a lot of money from really ripping people off, and that's it. So
we don't even know what
money.
the quote cause is yet. Like, we don't know if he's going to court. We don't know if he's settling out.
Yeah. I actually haven't even seen like a GoFundMe for him or anything. Have you? Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Good.
It just kind of sucks because on one end, you really want to help people that are being fucking railroaded by the state.
Sure.
And when it comes to gun rights. Sure. And then on the other side, you're like, well, he was price gouging and ripping people off.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's why I say I don't agree with his business practices. As a person, he was very nice to me.
The government goes after gas stations that price gouge. Why aren't they going after gun shops that price gouge? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't want to say he got what he deserves. I don't think anyone really deserves to be charged with 9 felonies unless they actually break the law. I mean, this guy, at the end of the day, broke a law that is not really written.
Right, and that's why I'm kind of.
But I'm not donating.
Well, that's why I'm kind of conflicted because it's like if the law was clear and he broke it, that's one thing as a federal firearms licensee holder.
Right.
But the state, the way they do the laws are so ambiguous and they don't determine a ruling.
They're creating case law. That's what's going on here. So
we shall see.
Yeah, Jerry's, you can create some case law for us, and we'll see what happens. Basically,
I was reading on like some Reddit posts and whatever that just watch, he's going to be like the savior of the state and get the SAFE Act repealed.
He's definitely not going to get the SAFE Act repealed, but they'll solidify.
It would be funny, man. I'm not, like you were talking about, like the state Supreme Court not taking up that other case.
Right.
Like, I think this has more of a merit to go into the state Supreme Court than a lot of other cases. Yeah. In all honesty, but
it's not going to result in the repeal of the SAFE Act. It's going to result in the solidification of the other firearm. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be, is this legal or is this not legal? And honestly, it's getting tried in this state. It's probably going to be determined to be illegal.
You'd be surprised, man. That Supreme Court case.
We've talked about the other firearms and how we've kind of determined that it does lean a little bit more to the illegal side.
Technically.
So I could see where a reasonable person would be like, well, yeah, that's clearly going to be illegal.
Well, now with the whole federal law on pistol braces,
right,
which these other firearms do use, if the federal government determines them to be stocks, then technically these other firearms in New York, unless you take the brace off and just run a buffer tube or a cheek rest, a lot of them with the braces will be considered SBRs, which are then definitely legal in the state.
Right.
Yeah. So the government, man, there's so much stuff going on now. Democrats doing Democrat shit.
Don't let Democrats do Democrat shit.
I want that on a bumper sticker.
That's the title.
I want that.
Maybe we can get those.
Oh God, I want that.
That's going to be a long bumper sticker, my guy.
Yeah, a window sticker.
Yeah.
That's cool. We should look into that. We need to Google this to see.
We're gonna go into it.
Yeah, we need to Google this to see if it's already a thing.
It probably is. But we could do it anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Just
give them away. That's fucking great.
Yeah. But the government is doing a lot of stuff with the whole brace thing now, and the comments on the ATF's proposed rule change, which I don't get how the ATF can make rule changes when they're technically a law enforcement agency. They're not a law-making agency.
It's going to be, they'll figure out a way, just like when they did the Obamacare, basically the Obamacare fee for the punishment fee for...
And the state and the Supreme Court just ruled that Obamacare is constitutional.
Well, yeah.
They repealed the penalty for it, but they ruled that...
Well, the argument was that the penalty was the reason why it should be repealed.
Right.
Because if there's no penalty, then there's no need for the law. But then, the Supreme Court, in the interest of making... in the interest of keeping... They call it in the interest of having the court basically make the full decision themselves, because they had the majority. It was I think 7 out of 9 or whatever it was. So they were in order to protect that the whole court agrees, they're gonna do it. They're gonna keep it. Whatever. It should have been repealed just based on the Obamacare was supposed to give more people insurance,
right,
and make it easier,
right. It was supposed to be government subsidized health insurance,
and all it did was add $100 billion to the budget and make it more confusing and
convoluted. You couldn't even get on the website. You couldn't.
And there are no more people today that have insurance than they did before it.
Right.
So it's the same fucking thing. It just added more money that the Democrats want to spend.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
They're doing Democrat shit.
a lot of bullshit.
It is. So,
but yeah, they like I was saying, if for those of you who don't know, they had a penalty for Obamacare, and they were like,
didn't have
like
insurance,
yeah,
you had to pay $600.
Correct. So it was like a fine, basically,
a fine.
and Congress is not allowed to like make fines and make law like that. So they can control tax code.
Right.
So they were like, okay, well, we're gonna rewrite it. They were like, it's not a fine, it's not a punishment, it's a tax.
Right.
And they're like, okay, and it got passed that way.
That's actually how the NFA got passed.
Yeah. It's all tax code.
It was written into the tax code.
Right.
So technically, having an unregistered machine gun is a tax code violation.
Right.
You don't have a tax paid stamp on it.
Yeah, tax stamp.
Right.
So it's nonsense.
That's how they fucking get around it. Man.
It's embarrassing, man, for the country to that they. I mean, it's smart for them, but
I do personally believe that healthcare reform is necessary in this country. I've seen way too many people go into some serious fucking debt for problems. That I think in America we shouldn't have these fucking issues. I think that I'm not saying that the rest of the world has it right, but personally within my own family, I've seen really horrendous medical shit. Doctors double billing insurance companies with no repercussions. I think that the cost of healthcare is way too high. When I had my son,
but there's a reason why it's way too high.
There is, but I don't think for example, in a hospital.
Yep.
In a hospital, when I had my son,
mm-hmm.
they charged my wife, I was looking over the bill,
mm-hmm.
for 500 Tylenol. They
mm-hmm.
charged her for 500 Tylenol at $5 a pill.
Mm-hmm.
$500 added to the bill like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck is a Tylenol pill $5 in a hospital?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's because the amount of Tylenol they give out for free. They have to.
I know. But this is what I'm getting at. I think there needs to be reform, not on a government level, but why do things cost so much, especially in an open market?
The whole thing is that in the U.S. we have people always say like, oh, you can go to another country and get cheaper healthcare, like in India. Well, I'm not going to India to get a fucking surgery where we have a very high standard of medicine here. And the problem is we also have policies in place, which is, for better or for worse, whatever you think. Like if you go into New York City and you're somebody who's homeless and you get admitted to the hospital, you don't have to pay that bill.
You don't.
So
because technically hospitals are not profit.
So who pays for that at the end of the day? When your wife goes in to have her baby, she has to pay for that.
Right.
So what I don't think that this is necessarily there's a combination of things. But when people say like, "Oh, this is bullshit. It's so high." Well, the prices are so high. Well, yeah, but there's a reason. You have to look at the full reason.
I also think that just from my own experience, hospitals charge, let's just say, a shitload of money for something. The insurance company pays it, no question. Then the insurance company has to raise your premiums because of the amount that they have to pay to hospitals and all these other people, because the hospitals charge a lot because other people get free healthcare and whatever. Then people bitch and complain. Healthcare should be free. It's a right. Just because you say something's a right doesn't necessarily. It's not a right.
It's not a right.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. So then people bitch and complain that things are so expensive. Instead of trying to find the root cause of the problem, they'll just say we need it free.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a right.
Fucking free.
I know.
And the problem is when you do things that are government subsidized, there's a reason why people not everywhere takes Medicare.
Right.
Because they pay below market value.
Right.
You're going to get the shittiest fucking quality health care.
Yeah, the bare bones.
You think our healthcare system is bad now, which it's not at all. Like the standard of care is really good in our country. You think that the standard of care is bad now? Imagine if everything you didn't pay for a fucking thing, and it's the government spending your money on somebody else. That's like the worst type of spending scheme you could do.
If you want to see the private sector versus the government-funded sector, if anybody ever had to look into putting somebody in a home, like a nursing home or an assisted facility, go to a state-funded facility, and go to a private facility.
Oh yeah,
you'll see the difference.
Oh hell yeah!
And that's why I think that I don't think government should run healthcare.
Absolutely,
but I think that it should be reined in and saying, okay, why does an X-ray here cost $10,000, but an X-ray there costs $5,000? Let's just say, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the standard? Where is the,
You'll never be able to have a standard.
I know. And this is my own disappointment. It's fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
But I see it as insurance companies get greedy, hospitals get greedy, and ultimately everybody has to
I don't think that insurance companies get greedy, man.
I fucking think
insurance
they do.
companies they're among one of the industries that have the thinnest margins.
Well,
so you may think you pay a lot, but that's because they're paying out a fuck ton.
Right, they're paying out.
Insurance companies go out of business, man.
They're paying out to these hospitals and these doctors that charge a shitload of money without question.
Yeah.
But why? The root of the problem is, why do these people charge so much?
Because people are getting shit for free and it needs to be subsidized.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. I think there just needs to be some oversight, some looking into of things. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah,
I'm not a fucking professional.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm just a schmuck from Long Island.
There's no way. I mean, the answer is we need to stop giving away shit for free. But that's never going to happen because you can't let someone fucking die in the street.
You can't.
So this is I think it's a necessary evil. And honestly, when you live in a time where you can get a job at McDonald's and get fucking health care, there's no reason why people should complain, I don't have health care.
Right.
If you don't fucking have health care at your job, go get a job. We have millions of jobs right now there's jobs that are open that people don't want because the Democrats do Democrat shit and are giving people money to fucking stay home.
That is some fucking socialist shit.
So you're staying home, okay, getting paid off the system, and then you're going to complain, I have to pay too much to go to the hospital because I don't have health insurance. Right. Well, motherfucker, if you would just get the fucking job at McDonald's, you would fucking have health care.
Right.
There's like almost every single place right now, except for like small mom and pop shops, which it is what it is if you want to do that or not. You can have health care very easily in this country. Yeah. So don't fucking complain. Go out there and get your ass to work. Unless you have a real fucking problem. And honestly, if you make below a certain amount of money anyway, you're already on like Medicaid, Medicare, no matter what your age is, and you pretty much have free health care. So
I think being the best country in the world, we do need to help people help our own.
Right.
Help people that can't afford certain things or need to get up off their
but
off the floor.
But that's the whole thing. Everyone's like, we need to help people who don't. Okay, well, guess what? You paying the subsidized cost to the health to the healthcare is you are helping. Like that's
I know.
So now you don't like it because it's costing you more money. Well, guess what? It's going to cost you more money in taxes. Yes. And if you're the type of person who doesn't work, who can't afford the insurance because you don't have insurance, then you're never going to pay more taxes.
Right.
So you're never going to feel it. So yeah, good for you. Now I don't play that game, man. I don't play that game. So people don't like to hear that, but that's it. When you suckle off the teat of the fucking government, everybody else has to pay for you.
I'm not saying, my opinion is like people who don't suckle off the teat, who, are lost their job or in between shit, need a hand. That's what the quote social programs are for, not for people to rip off. And unfortunately, Democrats do Democrat shit.
I'll tell you right now,
and
man,
enable it.
If in New York State, if you lost your job or whatever and you don't have health insurance, there is a way for you to get health insurance called the New York what is it, the
New York Exchange or something like that.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called. It's New York State of Health.
Yeah, New York State of Health Exchange.
And I'll tell you right now, it's a load of shit. So that's the government option for you. You want to see what the government could do? That's the government option. And I know people who lean a little bit to the left who looked at it and they were like, "This is really bad.
Right, this is garbage.
This is really bad." So, yep, good for you. You thought this was going to be the savior. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a fucking disaster. My wife, before she got on my insurance, they wanted her to pay $800 for a catastrophe plan.
That's like a Cobra plan or something like that.
$800. No, it's not Cobra. It's its own plan, but it was $800 monthly for the bare minimum, bare bones. Okay.
Fuck that.
So exactly. But with the New York State of Health, they give you, like, if you make below a certain amount of money, they do give you a tax credit toward it. So you could end up paying nothing. Yeah. So it's not going to be good insurance though. So that's the government option. So, yep, I don't agree with all that bullshit. I don't. I think that there's so many ways in this country. I know people who have had no insurance, who have had kids and get hit with bills, $50,000, and they fucking they contact a lot of organizations, Catholic health services, all these different, and they paid the bill for them. Like, just there's so many different things. It's just the lazy fucking people who are entitled, who feel like everything has to be given to them. They don't feel like they have to earn anything.
Right.
I took a fucking job where I put my life in a fucking very dangerous situation every fucking day for really good health benefits and a pension, and that's what I chose to do.
Right.
That's what it is. You have to grow up and get a fucking job and do what's best for you and your family.
And you know what? And if you don't, and you want to live that lifestyle to where you don't have that, then you need to understand
that there's fucking consequences. Exactly.
Right.
And there's very few people I feel that I look at and I feel bad for. And it's not young people who are like, I can't afford my health insurance. Get a fucking job.
Get a lot of young people have priorities that are, out of place. For example,
This
they'll
generation's
pay a
fucked.
cell phone bill before they get health insurance. They'll pay.
That's a problem.
They'll buy the new iPhone.
Yeah, they
and
have
you know what?
right. They
I'm
have
guilty
to
of
have.
some
They
bullshit
have
like
to have
that.
an iPhone, and then they complain that they don't have enough money to to pay for their fucking health insurance.
Right.
Fuck you.
I'm guilty of that to some degree, but like John, like bringing this back now to my cell phone,
Right.
rather than going out and spending $1,000 on a new phone, I spent a couple of $100 and have an okay phone because right now a new phone isn't in the cards for me.
I didn't say get a new phone. I just said don't repair your phone with counterfeit Mexican.
No, you
parts.
said go out and get a new phone. You said
Well,
go buy a new phone.
I said why don't you just go out and get a new fucking phone?
This is what I'm saying. It's like, my priorities right now are a new phone, $1,000.
Right.
Aren't really in the cards, so I spent a couple of $100 to keep this going, so that way I could pay and buy my kid food.
I respect it. That's you buying other things, you fuck. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm okay with you getting this phone fixed,
right?
But it don't really work. So
you know what? I've dealt with less. I've had a Nokia at one point in my life.
Oh hell
I've
yeah,
had the side
dude! I
know?
lost a phone and my parents refused to get me a new one. So you know what they got me? This was obviously when I was very young. I had lost a couple of phones and they were like, fuck you, I'm not getting you a phone again. So I was very young. I didn't have a job. I was like, young. So they were like, after a while I was like, can I please have a phone? So my dad was like, no problem. We'll get
Suckling
you a
off
phone.
the teat.
So he goes and he gets me like a track phone. Like you used to be able to buy a phone at 7-Eleven. A track phone with like a card with like 20 minutes on it. And he was just like, if you don't lose this phone, then we'll talk about getting you a real one. And I didn't lose that shit, dude, because that was my ticket. Yep.
Track phone. I remember that shit.
Yep.
Call me after 7 when my minutes are free.
Or you'd have like 20 minutes and like a text message would be like,
half a minute
would be
or
like
would be
like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
like,
of it. God. I know. But anyway, man, I think we're gonna wrap this episode up here. As usual, we get pretty spirited about shit, but for everybody who's listening, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for standing by. Like I said, we do get a little busy with life. Our schedules are opposite. We still are very passionate about what we talk about and what we, would like to see. If you have thoughts and opinions, reach out to us. If you have some cool guns you want to show off, reach out to us. Post them on our Facebook page. We don't censor people.
And if you think this generation should just shut up and get a job to pay for the things that they want and not just suckle off the teeth of the government, let me know.
Right. Yeah.
This generation's fucked, man. Like the generation coming up right after us they're in trouble, man.
I feel like we're like the last good generation. I mean,
the last generation thought that too.
Yeah.
Our parents thought that. And our parents probably really are the last great generation.
Probably. Yeah, I'd say so.
If you still have fucking values, then you're still okay. Like you and me, and still got values in life, man.
I know. Hopefully I could raise my son right.
He better not. Oh my god, he's gonna be a liberal.
Ugh.
I feel bad.
Why would you insult me like that?
He already does liberal shit.
Like what? Crawl around on the floor?
Yeah. Cry like a fucking baby.
He actually doesn't cry a lot, but that's another thing. But anyway, we'll end this here. We'll end this here because we'll get into a whole nother topic.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time, which hopefully will be next week.
Right.
We're going to really try to just scoot it in on one of my days off since this asshole now works fucking hours that don't. Just tell your boss you can't come in ever. But you still want to continue to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Democrat shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Doing Democrat shit.
Guys, thanks for tuning in, and as always, stay safe.